Hey, what is up, guys? Chillrog here. I know it's been a few months. We're finally going to jump into that very last Heroes of the Storm map guide. It's Hanamura this week, so get pumped, and we finally made it. This channel is kind of at a pivotal point. We've been doing educational content for a long time on this channel, but we might be transitioning this into more of a like meta commentary on Heroes of the Storm, or sort of like what's going on right now in the competitive scene, and like just kind of like more talks like that, maybe interviews, maybe stuff like that. If you guys want to see this channel go in the direction of Chillrog, how do I get from gold to diamond, how do I improve my Storm League win rate, let me know in the comments below. And then if you prefer the second option, like more interviews, more CCL content, more like what's going on right now, South Korean tournaments, what's the scene like, then also let me know in the comments below. We could also do both. I could also do educational content, like kind of periodically, and then when something big happens in the news, I could talk about it. Maybe that's the direction I'll go for now, until I get feedback one way or the other. But let me know what you guys think. Besides that, if you're new to the channel, definitely hit that subscribe button below, and let's jump into it. Let's check out Hanamura. So Hanamura is a 2-lane map. In addition to the 2 lanes, we have a very large jungle. Look at all this space through here, a whole lot of space. And in this jungle, this map is a little bit unique. Look at this wide open area. There's big wide open areas where in a lot of other maps, you don't have all this just kind of open space. There are some choke points here and here, but unusually amount of open area. This means it's a little bit easier to dodge skill shots in team fights in Hanamura, because they usually break out around objective points kind of here, where, you know, if you're fighting around here and this ground's filled in, there's not really any choke points. So if a mage throws a skill shot under you, you can usually get out of the way. It's a little bit easier. So more open areas in this map. Now, in addition to that, there's 6 camps total. We have 2 fortification camps, one in the top lane on the blue side, one in the bot lane on the red side. We have 2 sentinel camps, one in the top lane on the red side, one in the bot lane on the blue side, and then 2 vision camps. These are neutral recon camps, and these have some interesting characteristics. Let's talk about the vision camps really quickly. So if you take them, you can take them. They're very easy to take, especially with a character like Greymane, who does camps very well. You capture them, you get vision. They stand here and they fight for you now, and you see their allied buddies, these little guys in suits. I never noticed they're in suits before. It's actually pretty fresh. So they're in suits. Now the enemies can kill them, and then if the enemy kills them, it becomes capturable for either side. So you can't kill them right now, but what you could do is, if an enemy kills them, you can kind of hide, you know, and then as soon as they finish the last one, you jump in here and take it from the enemy, and you can get double XP. There's a lot of XP in this camp, actually. So that's a nice little trick. Now let's talk about the fortification camps a little bit more in detail also. So the fortification camps, it's just like Volskaya. It's the same thing. Once again, you can do it with a character that's good at taking camps like Greymane, and he kills it pretty quickly, although it's going to take a lot of his health, so be careful that you don't get rotated on. So you grab this, and when you capture it, a turret drops just like Volskaya. And you pick it up, and don't forget to pick it up, because that happens a lot, and you press F to drop it. And try to never die with this in your hands. You know, if you're gonna die, just drop it, because if you die with it in your hands, it becomes capturable for the enemies as well. So you give a free camp to the enemies. So it's not good. You want to avoid that. Okay, and lastly, it's the Sentinel Camp. So the Sentinel Camp, usually it's very dangerous to solo. Yeah, this guy hurts. Usually you want to have maybe 2 people taking this thing. It's very dangerous, and if you get invaded on, you're gonna get messed up. So you see how low I am. Most heroes can't do that. You capture this thing, and this is crazy in this map. This thing is more valuable than the objective. I'm just gonna say, yeah, this thing's more valuable than the objective. If you push with this thing, it gets a disgusting amount of value, especially if your team's busy. Like, now this is a very it depends kind of a thing to say, but if your team's busy, keeping the other team busy while you're pushing with this thing, it's pretty great. Now if your team gets wiped and it's a 4-for-0 and the other team gets the objective and then rotates and ganks you while you're pushing, it's really bad. So there's an it depends factor to this, but if you can split push while everyone's kind of clown fiesting around for the objective, look how quick we take this fort. This fort just gets shredded immediately. The thing hits really hard. It's got a good amount of health. Makes no sense to take this talent when there's no enemy heroes, whatever. But yeah, you shred through it. If you can split push on this map, it's a pretty good idea to do it. But we'll talk about it later. But that's the Sentinel Camp. So you can see it's powerful. It rips through these structures. You know, you only have 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 5 structures on this map. So pretty quickly, with Greymane and a Sentinel, you can take one of the 5 structures. So keep that in mind. Sentinel does a ton of damage. Now the objective on this map spawns at the 3-minute mark, and it's this little payload. So if one team occupies the payload, it pushes forward. If both teams occupy the payload, it's in the same state as if nobody was. It just doesn't move. So that's all the states. You're not entering it, you're entering it, it moves, and then both teams are entering it, and it stops. When the payload reaches the end, when the payload reaches, the final destination, it spawns a cannon, and the cannon shoots at all the structure, or at enemy structures. There's several paths that it can go. So the first path, this is a lazy way to take it. It'll push you a little bit. So the first path is going to be neutral, up and down. So you see the neutral path it's on now, it's going up and down. And then once it's captured, it's going to go diagonally. It's a little bit harder to take. So this, instead of going up and down, will spawn this way. You see, here's the path. You don't see it right now. Oh, there's the firing. You see the cannon spawned, and it's firing at any objectives, and it doesn't really do a ton. So up and down is the first path. Yours could be up here, the enemies will be down here, and you'll just fight. It'll spawn in the middle, you fight. It always spawn in the middle. Now the second one, it's going to be diagonal. You can kind of see the path here. It's going to go along here and to this one, or along here and to this diagonal side. So those, and then the last one will be hardest. It'll just go straight towards the enemy base for you to channel it, and towards your base for the enemy to channel it. It's just going to go left and right. But here, nestled right against the enemy's keep, and you have to capture it. It'll be a little bit harder because they can run back right to their keep, back and forth, and have safe retreat while you don't. And same thing for them. They're going to have to go right up against and fight up against your keep, right up against your core, kind of. Quick little note here. This is really easy access to the enemy's keep. So if you get a 5-man wipe and you're all alive, you can just run through here, drop a turret. Here, I can show you on Greymane really quick, actually. What you can do is, if all 5 of you are up, you can kind of just like cheese the keep, and it's really easy, especially if you have a turret or an Anubarak with beetles, or like both, or something like that. Or maybe a Zagara with spawns or Nazebo. You just run in here, it starts to shoot you, but you drop the turret, and you switch. You're not a necessary shot. Now this is pretty bad because I'm just by myself, but if I had a 5-man here, if it was late game, and we wipe the enemy, I mean, just as a level 9 Greymane by myself with the turret, I got, what? I don't know, like a quarter or something. But if you get a 5-man wipe, your team can rip through this keep really fast by just cheesing through the side here. So keep that in mind. Might be hard to coordinate in Storm League because Storm League is Storm League, but keep that in mind as an option. Now let's jump into the draft. What should you draft on Hanamura? Alright, so there's a few things you should draft. You'll need a solo laner for the top lane. Usually. Not necessarily, but usually the top lane. What are some good solo laners on this map? Rexxar, D.Va, Gazlowe, Sonya. These are good solo laners. They perform well on this map because they can kind of check some of the other boxes that are good to check on this map as well. Camps, Rexxar, Gazlowe, Sonya, very good at camps, whatever. So also another important thing on this map, get your solo laner. Also grab someone who can do camps. From that first pool, from the solo laners that we discussed. So yeah, besides solo laner, also grab someone who can do camps. Just like we discussed, Rexxar, Gazlowe, Sonya are great. Samuro is also great. He just does well on this map. There's a lot of like cheesing you can do, a lot of ganking. He has a nice win rate on this map. So keep an eye out for Samuro. Now an interesting thing, auto attackers do very well on Hanamura. Why is that the case? Because if we have these wide open areas where there's no choke points, if you can just do consistent damage by auto attacking, that's a little bit more valuable on Hanamura than the other maps because the skill shots are less valuable here. Because if you throw a flame strike under somebody, there's no terrain blocking me. I can go in any possible direction. I'm wide open. There's no terrain blocking me. Look at all this space. So auto attackers get a little bit more value here, and the win rates kind of reflect that. Check it out on Heroes Profile or HoTS logs. You can kind of see where you can just get consistent damage constantly, where a lot of skill shots will miss more often on this map. Who are some good auto attackers on this map? Have a nice win rate. Rexxar, an auto attacker. Gazlowe, Samuro, like we talked about, those three, they're auto attackers. Some of them can solo lane, they can do camps, so they get a lot of value on here. Also Raynor. Raynor's just like a nice, reliable hero. He's super easy to play. He's kind of hard to kill. He's pretty beefy, and whatever. Damage is really good. All right, so that's the draft. Now let's go to part 3. Let's think about the lane setup. So the lane setup. Traditionally on this map, what we have is we have a solo laner top, and we have a 4 versus 4 bot. So 1 versus 1 top and 4 versus 4 bot. But just because that's what everyone does traditionally, don't feel locked into that. A 2 and 3 is definitely the way to go if you're going to lose the 1v1 and the 4v4. Or you could just do it if you're going to lose the 1v1 and you feel like your solo laner needs help. It's just something to keep in mind. No reason not to do it. if you think it's going to be better for you. So it would be a good 2 and 3. If you have Vala Ariel in the top lane doing a 2 and 3, that could be great. Vala and Ariel together, it's really oppressive. Most 2v2s are going to get wrecked by Vala Ariel because Vala's going to give Ariel infinite energy, and Vala's going to be able to step up and do it like a ton of damage because she has so much backing. And any two man against that is probably just going to be overwhelmed. All right, so let's jump into the strategy. We kind of talked about it a little bit earlier on, but we'll get more in depth here. Part 4 of the strategy. Winning this map is about the Sentinel Camp. I personally think it's too powerful. I think it's just a little bit oppressive, and it disincentivizes team fighting and incentivizes like just crazy split pushing. But that's what we have, so do it. Crazy split push. Or you can just be smart about it too. So like a way to just be smart about it is to capture this camp at the 3-minute mark. So the 3-minute mark, the objective spawns, but it's slow. You have a lot of time, so the enemy could go over here and start capturing the objective, and it's going to take them a while to get it. So do your camp at the 3-minute mark, and then while it's pushing, go fight the enemy. Go fight them, and they'll need to choose either give you the objective or go deal with the Sentinel Camp. And it's sort of a lose-lose for them. You're forcing them into a lose-lose. Now, if you do your objective, now this is really important. This is where you get wins. If you do your camp and you go to this point to fight them and they're not there, they're probably at their camp. And you know what that means? This guy is beating the crap out of them because he does a lot of damage, and they're dumping their skill shots on them. So when you go and if you go over here, they're not going to have their abilities ready because they just used it on this guy, and they're all going to be kind of low because this guy's messing them up. So if you're here, your thing's pushing, your guy's pushing down here because you just captured it. The objective, whatever, it's in the middle. You go here, they're not there. Run at them and kill them because they've weakened themselves by fighting this thing, and take it, and then take the objective. And then it's like, especially in Storm League, that might just be like they're demoralized, they're arguing in chat, and it's like it's over. Because the bottom pressure is going to be crazy from your camp, the top pressure is going to be crazy, and then you're going to cap an objective, and then they're just going to start typing, and that's going to be it. So keep that in mind. Invade this camp. This is not a camp. Think of this as a boss, kind of. It's like the enemy's just, everyone just does this camp like it's nothing, but really it takes a lot of like health away from the people doing it, especially if people get clipped by that cleave, and it takes a lot of skill shots and time to bring it down. So it's sort of like the enemy's doing a boss, and you can just go and kill them because they're weak while they're fighting this. So the tradition is sort of just everyone trades these, but I think invading these is insanely good and just going to get you some wins. Especially if your team just like 5-man collapses on this, this is fantastic. Now, a quick note about using the turrets properly. This could be actually pretty big. So there's a few things you want to think about when placing the turret. Now, something that could happen is you get your turret, you say, I'm going to save it for the objective. And you do it well, and you save your turret for the objective, and you come here, and everyone's fighting in the middle. You know, it spawns here, and everyone starts fighting. And then you place your turret, and the enemy team backs up. And they just go do a camp, or they reset, or whatever. Or the enemy team backs up and just lets your team push. Your team just pushes away, and now you're here, and your poor turret's back here, and it got no value. So keep that in mind. That could happen a lot here. So what you could do with the turret is you can use it to push. That's fine. It's okay. Pushing's good on this map because there's so few structures, and the Sentinel Camp rips through a lot of them. Pushing is usually a pretty good option on this map. You could also just like wait until somebody fully commits. So, you know, if the enemy Diablo queues in and E's, you're probably good to drop the turret because he's not walking out. He's not getting out of there. He's committing and he's trying to get a kill, and his team's going to follow up. So if you see a hard engage like that where a Nubrak E in, or the enemy Murden jumps in, or your Diablo, a Nubrak or Murden goes in, you know, if somebody fully commits to the fight, you can probably drop the turret. If nobody fully commits to the fight, you can wait until like this point right here. Because if you drop the turret here and you drop it like, you know, while this thing is pushed so far forward, the enemy team is going to have to fight you or give the objective up. So you say you go here and you say, ha, that's going to give value. You know, that placement's going to give value because either you get the objective or the enemy has to fight you. And why is the turret so good? The turret's so good. Think of the turret as half a hero. So if you have the turret down and the enemy's fighting the turret, it's sort of like a 5.5 versus 5. You get like an extra. It's like having a Viking and a half or something on your side. So if you guys have any questions about that, feel free to drop them below in the comments. If you guys want to let me know what kind of future videos you want to see, drop those in the comments below as well. And definitely don't forget to like this video and also smash that subscribe button below. And besides that, thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video.